Hi students! Welcome to Mrs. Sebastian's studio once again. So today we're going to be talking about garden gnomes. Yes, those wonderful little statues of little dwarf looking guys with pointed hats holding, gardening tools in their hands. And I want to tell you a little bit about the history of the garden gnome. I think my dogs are singing to me right now, so sorry about that. They're very talkative today, I think. But the first garden gnome that we know about actually came from Sir Charles Isham of Britain when he traveled to Germany and brought back 21 terracotta statues of the little gnome guys. The Germans actually have a special name for them. I cannot pronounce it, but I'm going to spell it out for you right here. And it means basically garden dwarf. So they're related, I guess, to dwarves. And he brought these 21 statues to his yard, and his daughters couldn't stand them. You probably know someone who doesn't like them either. Just so happens we have someone in our household that loves them. That is my husband. So he likes to hide them in all sorts of little spaces in our yard. Anyway, over time they got rid of all of them except for one that was found a number of years later. He actually holds a little lantern in his arm or hand. And it's actually one of the oldest known ones. You see, he collected them in 1847, and that's a pretty old gnome to have, just saying. So today I'm going to be doing an origami project with you. Yes, it does happen to look a little bit like a Santa too, but I like to think of them as gnomes. And I have this great story that I'm going to read before I show you how to do the origami lesson. And I will be following up this lesson with another one of a gnome that's going to be something that is going to just be paper and glue and coloring. So be looking out for that gnome part 2 lesson. And without further ado, let's get into this wonderful story I have. And by the way, stay tuned to the end because I am going to tell you a super silly gnome joke. It's very punny. Punny, yeah. All right, here we go. This is our book, Go Big or Go Gnome. It's written by Kirsten Mayer and illustrated by Laura K. Horton. I hope that you enjoy the positive message communicated in this book. See if you can figure it out by the end. This is Albert the Gnome. You can call him Al. Al lives in a hollowed out mushroom cap with a roof of pine cone shingles and a front door made of a sturdy acorn top. Al works in a garden with other gnomes. Melvin sweeps up sticks and stones. Earl rakes rows of very small rocks. Harold wrangles wiggly worms. Cliff bathes the birds and fills the fountains. Bartleby has dandelion duty, fluffin' the fluff. Al takes care of the shrubbery, trimming a leaf here and there to keep it tidy. His best friend, Norm, sweeps up after him. See how all these busy gnomes have imperial beards and illustrious mustaches. All of them do, except Al. He tries and tries, but he can't grow a single whisker on his face. That's too bad for Al, because the biggest event of the year for gnomes is the BIG, the Beards International Gnome-athlon. Every gnome in the garden grooms and prunes, primps and crimps to win the trophies for the longest beard, bushiest beard, and overall best beard. Every gnome except Al.
"This really gets my goatee," said Norm. "It's not fair for you to be left out."
Al strokes his smooth chin thoughtfully. "I have an idea." This is Engelbert the gnome, the Grand Master Judge of Whiskers. It takes a lot to impress old Engelbert. The first contest is for longest beard. Gnomes line up to see whose scruff is the most inchworms long. Al steps up next, and he has a beautiful long white beard. It's so light and fluffy that it floats in the air.
"Well, what do we have here? Did Albert finally sprout some whiskers?"
asks Engelbert, chuckling. When the old gnome leans in for a closer look, something tickles his nose. He lets out a great big achoo, and dozens of tiny white butterflies flutter away.
"False beard," roars Engelbert.
The next competition is for bushiest beard. Al's beard is now a unique reddish color and very bushy.
"Did that beard just twitch?"
asks the old gnome. "Oh, no, sir. I just wiggled my chin," says Al. Suddenly, there is a chitter under Al's cap. Engelbert whisks it off and uncovers a squirrel.
"False beard," he roars.
Norm smushes some moss onto Al's face, but it just plops to the ground. "It's no use," says Al. "I'm just a boring, bare-faced gnome. I'll never win longest or bushiest or overall best beard. I'll never be a winner, not ever." Al goes home and trims some shrubbery to keep himself busy. A little while later, Norm runs up in a panic.
"Ow, I need your help. I need your help. I got some tree sap in my beard and now it's stuck," he says. "I'll never win best beard tomorrow. Can you fix it?"
Al goes to work. He snips and clips all the tree sap out of his friend's beard. Then he trims a little more. "There you go. I did what I could," says Al. "It's a little different." Norm runs to the bird bath to look at his reflection in the mirror. His new beard looks gnome-tastic.
"Wow, Norm, that's some beard you have there," says Bartleby.
"Oh, it's a real zinger," says Cliff. "Where'd you get it?"
"Al trimmed my beard for me. Now I'll win best beard for sure," Norm shouts as he jumps up and down.
"Hey, you're sure it's real?" asks Melvin, giving it a yank.
"Oh, maybe I should get a beard trim from Al too," wonders Harold.
"Last one there's a rotten acorn," cries Earl as he takes off running. The next morning, Al wakes up and shuffles outside. He's shocked to see a long line of gnomes waiting in front of his house.
"Look, Al," Norm says. "Every gnome wants you to trim their beards too."
"I better get started. It will be a close shave to get every gnome ready in time." Later that day, a parade of gnomes struts through the garden, showing off an array of amazing beards. Engelbert can't believe his eyes.
"Goodness grapeness! Fancy feathers! Bristles and Badgos, Whimsy and Whiskers.
Engelbert claps his hands to silence the crowd.
Every beard here today is truly special. I have never seen anything like it in the history of the BIG. I declare the competition for best beard to be a 30-way tie. Every gnome wins.
Engelbert walks over to Al and hands him a trophy.
Albert, you are getting a special prize for bringing beards to a new level and raising the handlebar for this competition. You are the winner of the first award for Best Barber.
Every gnome cheers as loudly as they can. Albert the gnome is the winner! After much celebrating, Al walks home. He thinks about where to put his trophy. He doesn't even notice that his light is on, and the acorn door is slightly open. Hi, I'm Ginger. I was wondering, could you give me a haircut? That's the end of our story. I hope that you've enjoyed following Al on his journey to self-discovery. He discovered that he didn't have to be like all the other gnomes to be special, be unique, and by using his own talents, he discovered that even he too was a winner. All right, so now we're going to get into our origami lesson, which, by the way, some people seem to think that looks like a Santa, but I prefer to think it looks like a gnome. Don't forget, there's going to be another video following this one that is going to be on a different gnome-like lesson, and that one will be focusing more on the beard. All right, let's get on to our lesson now. All right, I have a piece of origami paper here. It is a square. It's colored on one side, and it's white on the other. And our first step is actually going to be turning our paper so that it's on the white side and that we've turned it so that it looks like a diamond shape right now. So there should be a point at the top, at the bottom, and on the left and right sides. Go ahead and turn yours now. All right, our next step is going to be the mountain fold. We're going to take this bottom corner here and we're going to fold it up so it's even with the top corner up here, making a crease along the middle of our paper going that way. So I'm going to take the top and simply fold it over. Take the bottom and fold it up to the top. You can see why they call it the mountain fold. It looks like a mountain. This would be the valley part in the middle. All right, go ahead now and open it up and then turn your paper 90 degrees. So when you do that, you'll see that you have a diamond again, but the crease is now going up and down instead of left and right. Do that now. We are actually going to do the mountain fold again. Take that bottom corner and line it up with the top corner. Crease it in half doing so. Remember, in origami, it is important to get those creases as even as possible. Sometimes once I have them lined up, I put a couple of fingers across the paper and then let the other hand do the folding. And you want to make sure those are nice and sharp creases too. All right, when you open it back up, you should have a plus line and creases in the middle. up and down, left and right. We're still looking at the white side, and it should look like a diamond. Our next step is going to bring this point down here at the bottom to the middle point here in the creases. So right where they meet, all in the middle, I'm going to take that bottom corner, lift it up, make sure it just barely touches that middle point there. Make sure those crease here is lined up with the crease above, and then go ahead and fold that down. All right, we're now going to flip it over left to right. When you flip it over left to right, it is now colored on this side. You still see a plus line, but the bottom doesn't have that corner poking down anymore. Our next step is going to be to lift up this edge here on the right-hand side, and when we fold it up, it's going to line up with the crease here in the middle. So I'm just going to pick this up. And again, you want to make it only this portion that we're doing the folding with. You don't want to incorporate any of this paper here. Here we go. Again, if you missed it, all I did was I picked up this edge and folded it up like this at an angle. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. For our next step, we're going to pick up this side here too, and we're going to fold it up so that this edge becomes even with the vertical crease. Again, we're only picking up that left portion of it. So now it looks like we have a square in color here, 2 white rectangles, and another square diamond up above. Once you're done doing that, go ahead and rotate it again. And this way we can see that we've got the square here, a bigger square here, and then we have got the white rectangles at the top and bottom. Or at least on the right-hand side top and the left-hand side bottom. All right, next, we're going to take this edge here and we're going to fold it down so it becomes even with this edge here. That'll make a crease in the middle. We're going to do the same thing with this one over here. Take this edge and line it up with the side edge. All right, next we want to pick it up, and when we turn it, we want to make sure we see that colored diamond up at the top, and then the rest of it is going to be white. All right, so the first thing that we are going to do is we're going to take this part here, the very tip of this colored square, and we want to do the mountain fold again where we fold this all the way up and match it with the top tip there. So So we just folded that whole section in half. All right, next step is open it back up so you can see the crease you made across left and right on the colored section. Then you want to take this very tip right here and you want to fold it up so it touches that crease right above it. Again, trying to keep those creases all nice and straight in the middle of our origami today. So I just took that very bottom tip and lined it up so it's even now with that crease we did before going left and right. All right, next, we are going to go ahead and we're actually going to be creasing this part here so that we're going to take this white edge and line it up here with this crease that we did in the color. So what is that going to look like? We're going to actually have a dashed line here that I'm going to show that will be our crease line. So you can see how I'm just doing that in halfway. So I'm just going to fold this up like so to that crease line, crease it, and then fold it up again. So we just folded it up twice. So here you can see how I folded it in half here, folded that part up, and then I just lift the whole thing up one more time and crease that up. All right, next we're going to take this bottom corner and we're going to line it up all the way to the top corner. Another mountain fold. Yep, I do see those two little triangles sticking out of the bottom. That is completely normal. Our next step is going to take that top point now, just the top layer though, and what we're going to do is we're going to fold it down so it becomes even with this edge here. This is actually going to be the trim. I'll just point that out for you. This is actually the trim on the hat, and this is the colored part of the hat. And what we're going to do now is make the face part, kind of like the beard, you know. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to line it up right underneath that trim and then just crease that across. So again, I just pulled this part down until this crease would be even with this part right here at the bottom, and just go ahead and crease that down. All right, what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and we are going to flip it over to the back. So I just did a flip over left to right. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fold this edge of the paper so that it becomes even with the crease in the middle. To the best of my ability. So again, all I did was I took all those layers of paper there, I picked them all up, and then I folded them so that the outside edge is now going to be even with the crease in the middle. And if you like that, guess what? We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Pick up this outside edge here and line it up so it matches the crease in the middle. almost like a paper airplane fold where you have to make it really pointy on one end. That is going to be the top of his little pointy hat. And what we're actually looking at here is the back. So again, all I did here was I picked up all those folds and layers of paper and took them and folded them to the back, just like so. And now when I flip it over, here is our completed project. And you can see how he's wearing, it looks like there's a cloak or a cape on him or a little jacket that wraps to the back here. Here's his little feet. This would be his face. You know, maybe I'll do a little nose here. Cute little eyes. I'm gonna give him a big beard. Maybe this is going to be lots of fluffies. I could put little buttons going down. And what's nice with these two is that they also stand up. You have to kind of open up the creases down here at the bottom a little bit. And I know it's a little difficult to see this angle on my camera, but I will take a photo of it so that you can see it. And they almost stand up like little Christmas trees, which is kind of nice. All right, let me show you that picture. Oh, I hope you enjoyed that origami lesson. Remember, stay tuned for that part 2 gnome lesson that we're going to be doing. And that one's going to be all about the beard. I know that story was a great story for the beard, wasn't it? Okay, so your super silly joke is, what song do garden gnomes sing while they're gardening? Oh, they say, "Gnome worry, be happy." Oh, I told you it was punny, didn't I? Yeah. Okay, so remember, as always, be nice to everyone you meet. Give someone a big hug today. They probably need it, even if it's you. And keep on doing great art.